You found a message in a bottle on a beach, and you pick it up and you open it, and you find out it's a love letter from a man to his potentially deceased wife. And you say, oh my God, I want a man who feels this deeply and writes this intensely. It may be about his dead wife, but I'm in love with him and I'm gonna go find him. And then you find him. Use all your resources to find him. Mind you, this is the 90s. We don't have social media like that. You find him, you date him, and don't tell him about his letters that you found? Ma'am, are you okay? Hello everyone. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Just Shani, and I love to read books. This is a hobby that I had when I was a little girl, but I fell off because life was lifing. But 2025, I decided to pick back up on some of my old hobbies, and reading books is one of them. I'm gonna assume that since you clicked this video, you like to read books too. Or you just really like me. Will you keep quiet? Okay, let me stop. I'm going to give you guys reviews of the books that I've read this year and some of the books that I read last year as well. Today I'll be talking about the greats, the meh, and the complete waste of my time. I don't even know why I indulged in this book. I read it just out of spite to say that I finished it. So first we're gonna start with the self-help books. This is a self-development growth channel, so of course I'll be talking about some self-help books. I currently don't have the finances to pay for therapy every week, but the growth must continue. So the first self-help book that I'm going to talk about, well, it's really two. They're two different books, but they're written by the same author and they have similar context. One precedes the other. I don't know. I would say you can read one without the other, but it depends on where you are in your journey. The books are Codependent No More and Beyond Codependency by Melanie. I can never say her name right. Beadle. I am a recovering codependent. I just figured out what this word meant, or the existence of this word, last year when I was reading the book Attached. My therapist recommended it. I was extremely triggered, so I couldn't finish it. I still have not finished that book. One day we will get to it, but for right now, it's in the I'm gonna get back to you pile. What are my thoughts on Codependent No More and Beyond Codependency? I would say that they're relatively really good books. If you're someone who thinks you might be codependent, and I will put the definition of codependency right here, I would recommend reading this book if you have no idea what codependency is, but you know something is wrong and you feel like, you know, your relationships just have something that's just off about it. I recommend picking up this book. For me though, I feel that because I had already done so much work on myself, some of the things that the book was telling me were not new concepts to me. And I found the book to be a bit preachy and repetitive. Like, we're repeating the same thing over and over. I found that both books were too long. I feel like the author could condense the information and still have the same effect that she was going for, still pass along the same message. The chapters just went on and on and on, repeating the same context over and over with different sentences. Sometimes she would just blatantly repeat the same thing over and over. If you're someone who is suffering from low self-esteem, you're struggling with your romantic or relationships, whatever, if you just need someone to tell you over and over and over and over how good of a person you are and how deserving you are, pick this book up. The book has journal activity prompts on the inside, so it would give you a chance to reflect on yourself and do a deeper dive into yourself, find out where you're the problem, find out where other people are the problem. I will give this book a 3 out of 5, which is the same thing I gave it on my Goodreads, which I will attach my Goodreads in the description box if you guys want to follow me on there to keep track of the books that I am reading and follow along with me. Oh, one more thing. The book is heavily targeted at the partners of alcoholics. Every chapter talked about alcoholism, and codependency it's an isolated thing on its own. Of course, it does show up with people dealing with partners of people dealing with drug addiction or some type of substance abuse. So I would have just appreciated if it was more general, and it would have just been nice to explore a lot more of those concepts outside of alcoholics. All right, so we got all the housekeeping out of the way, the not so interesting stuff. Now we're gonna get into my favorite genre, which is of course romantus. I love a good romance novel. Maybe it's because like I've had 0 successful relationships. Maybe that's why I just love to bury myself in a good book with a good, love story that whatever they go through, no matter what issues they go through, they're gonna end up together, because this is a romance novel. It's about love. The couple always ends up together, okay? But just because I like romance doesn't mean I don't need my romance to have some depth. So now for the star of the entire show, my first romance novel that I'm gonna recommend. Actually, I read it this year. I mean, these are all the books I read this year. But the first one that I'm going to talk about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. 50 stars. Yeah, 50 million stars across the board. 100,000 billion stars. Yes, the writing is so concise. The characters have depth. The storyline it's cohesive. You're not jumping all around the place. The story is told from the view of the 2 main characters, which are the 2 lovers, Yasmin and Josiah. Not me almost forgetting his name. This novel is a will they, won't they type novel. The characters, they were not perfect, but they found their way back to each other, just like every other romance novel. So what is it about? It's about 2 lovebirds. They were high school sweethearts who ended up getting married. Their life was going pretty well. Everybody thought like, bro, they're it. They're like the couple goals. Nothing can ever happen to them. They had their kids, and then tragedy strikes their family. And unfortunately, there was a lot of grief, a lot of depression, avoidance, a lot of lack of good communication skills. They basically went through it, and they got divorced. Spoiler, it's not really a big spoiler because this is said literally at the start of the book, but they got divorced, but they still have a lot of ties to each other. They still have children together. So now they're figuring out co-parenting, and they have this will they, won't they relationship going on. I would truly, truly recommend this book. The writing is realistic. It's not a fluffy romance novel. This is something that I can picture happening in real life. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone came to me and they tell me their story and it almost it's quite similar to the book. This is the first novel that almost made me cry. I was really, really close. I was getting very emotional. Every time I felt that way, I just put it away, because no, I don't cry for movies or anything like that, unless it's that time of the month. Then I can cry for a freaking commercial. But I was very close to I was on the verge of tears, because the book, the characters, they reminded me so much of a relationship that I had. I could see myself in both characters, and I could see one of my ex-partners in both characters as well. A lot of, lack of proper communication skills, avoidance, anxiety, but they got through it. So I would highly recommend this book, and it is in the greats for me. So the next romance novel that I want to talk about, that I also read this year, is American Love Story by Jackie Collins. I discovered Jackie Collins when I was very, very young, too young to be reading her novels, but I got into that genre very, very, very early on, and I love her novels. Now, I would give you guys a nice trigger warning. The book can be very, very triggering. It is a book of its time. It's set from like the late 60s to the 90s and early 2000s. So it's very raunchy, a lot of questionable sexual interactions. There's some sexual assault in there. There's racism, poverty, fame, grief, death. It's a lot. I love when a writer gives their character depth. I don't want a flat character. That's the quickest way to turn me off from a book or just anything. Even if you're gonna fluff it up, give our characters some depth. Let us have a reason to connect to them. What is it about these characters that make me want to root for them? You know, I don't want just a very flat, he got abs and whatever, she's whatever. Give me some depth. What do they go through? What are they going through? How do they react to people? Are they good friends? How do they treat their loved ones? If they have kids, how do they treat their kids? I want to see humans, even though these are fictional characters, in the characters that I'm reading. I really enjoyed American Love Story. It is also about two high school sweethearts, a very unlikely pair. One is, you know, a little on the privileged side, and one is from the rougher side of the tracks. They just make a really unlikely pair. One of the characters is a very, very big people pleaser. That's one thing I didn't like about the book. It never wrapped up those issues that I found with the protagonists of the book. It just seemed like the protagonists got their way. Even when they were making dumb decisions, the book just found a way to justify and make things work out for them. Other than that though, good storyline. Of course they ended up together. I still feel like, I'll give it like 4 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it. It's a good read. It's pretty lengthy though, but it'll keep you coming back because you want to know. It's like, will they, won't they? And when they almost do, then they don't. It's a fluffy romance novel, but the characters have some depth. And there's so many characters, so many storylines happening at once, but you never got lost in place because the Jackie takes you along with her. Now, this next book that I'm going to talk about was the first book that I read this year, and it was a big disappointment. I don't even know why I finished this book. Actually, I do know why I finished it. This book was brought up in the book club that I joined recently, and we read this book for the January book of the month. And I was so excited when I first picked it up. The reviews on Goodreads were kind of mixed. Actually, most people really liked it. It has like, I think 4.5 stars. Let me check. Yep, it has 4 stars on Goodreads, which this book is about a lady who she's divorced. It starts out with, I think her name is Teresa. I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. She's walking along a beach, you know, kind of soliloquizing about her life and how it's not where she wants it to be, so to speak. And then she catches a glimpse of something in the moonlight, and it's a message in a bottle. Yeah, it's that cliche. Apparently, this is the same author who wrote The Notebook. I've never stayed awake enough to actually know what the premise of The Notebook is about, and I've never read the book. But after this book, I don't think I want to even read the book, to be honest with you. Teresa finds a message in a bottle. She reads it, and she is really pulled in by the words and how the author of this letter describes the person he is writing to, which we later find out is his deceased wife. She was so smitten by his writing style and the emotion that he poured into this letter. She's like, oh my God, I just want somebody who would want me and pine for me like this, even in death. So what does she do? She goes and finds him. She's like, I must find this man. I must find out who he is. I just need to know who he is. And then she had a friend who was literally encouraging her to seek this man out. So you find a message in a bottle on a beach. You open it, you read it. Decipher that it could be a letter to a dead ex-partner. And you're like, wow, I want this. I'm in love with this person. I just need to know who he is. I need to meet him. Mind you, she is like a writer herself, which could explain why she was drawn to his writing style. If the book framed it in a way where she was going to find him because she was so curious as to how somebody could write so eloquently and so with so much emotion that she just wanted to interview him or something, okay, I could see that. You know, and then they fall in love after meeting or stuff like that. I could understand that, but she solely was seeking this man out to be in a relationship with him. She wanted him to love her. This book is set in the 90s, so it's very important. We don't have any internet. We don't have I'm sorry. We did have internet in the 90s, but social media is not as prevalent as it is now, where you could just, you know, his name was Garrett, you know, search up Garrett with, you know, all the other clues that you have and you found the person who wrote this note. She didn't have that, but she did have like journalistic tools around her, and she used that to find him. It took a lot. It was giving stalker. You don't know this man. And then she bought a ticket. She bought a ticket to fly to his states to go and meet him. Ma'am, are you okay? And then ends up... This is why I can't do the fluffy romances. I need a touch of realism in my books. This book just was not realistic enough for me. The ending also threw me off. Like, they didn't even... I'm not gonna spoil it for you. If you choose to read this book, if you like the fluffy romances, you know, the fantasy, the where like the characters don't really do a lot of introspection, like they're not really making decisions with their color. Yeah, that's fine, go for it. It's a quick read too. I think I read it in like 2-3 days. What did I give this on Goodreads? I think 2 stars. I think I gave it 2 stars. I was just very, very disappointed. And apparently there's a movie. Count me out, please. The next set of books that I want to talk about is the sci-fi dystopian, you know, the world has ended and we are the remaining survivors. The first book that I'm going to mention is Silo. Actually, Silo is the name of the series. Book 1 is called Wool, and it is written by Hugh Howey. Now, this book is set in the future when most of us have already, we've gone, we're not here no more. How did the world reach extinction? We don't know. We are introduced to, I think, 10,000 or 10,000 people that live in a silo that is underground with only like a little bit, like this much sticking out, and a camera of the world in its destitute state. They don't know why they are there. They don't know who put them there. They don't know when they will get out. But what they do know is that going outside kills you. 5 stars across the board. I just read the second installment, Shift, and the twists and turns of this book. Chef's kiss. Hugh Howey has a way of writing characters that you don't know where he's going, but when you get there, you're like, oh my God. He pulls emotion and then he'll force you to take it back. The thing I like about this book is we don't know who to blame. We don't know who's at fault. The people who were villains in book 1, at the end of book 1, didn't seem like villains anymore. They were just part of the program. They're just doing their best to save the lives, or at least they're doing what they think is best to save the lives of the people in the silo. Meanwhile, in book 2, we find out that, this is a spoiler, but it's not. By the time you start reading it, it won't be such a spoiler. We find out that the creators of the silo are alive, but it's been like over 200 years. Why are they still alive? How are they alive? Why were the silos built? The entire Silo series is caused by 5 men. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They came together with their big heads made decisions that impacted the entire world and stuffed people in silos for generations. Mind you, I still don't even know the purpose of why these silos are here. And am I finding out that there might be a safe spot outside the silos? You need to read this book. If you love sci-fi, if you love just like a dystopian universe, ooh, excuse me, I highly recommend this book. You know what? If you don't even like to read, I recommend the show. The show is on Apple TV. It's called Silo. Book 1 is season 1 and 2. So book 2 was introduced a little bit at the end of season 2, and there are 3 books. So there's enough content for you to watch. And they haven't even produced them yet. They should not even better cancel that show. Use your brain. This is a good show. Don't cancel it. Don't be like Netflix. Okay? Silo, book 1 and 2, Wool and Shift, 5 stars. That is it for the book reviews. Do you read books? Do you enjoy reading books? What's your favorite genre? What recommendations do you have for me? Please put them in the comments below. Are you an audiobook girly? Are you the type that reads on your phone or your Kindle? I personally need to have a copy in my hands or the book is not getting read. If it's on my phone, it's not getting read. Once a notification pops up, that's it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let's get the conversation going in the comments. And remember to read a book, read a book, read a book.